In the coming days, the 16 WAPT meteorologists are predicting a prolonged cold streak.
I'm not necessarily ready, but you just have to plan for it. You don't know how much Mother Nature is going to be. So you just have to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just really need to be careful.
Thursday, we found folks hitting the grocery stores, getting themselves prepared for what's to come.
And I got a bunch of canned goods. I got a bunch of canned goods, a bunch of meat.
The city of Jackson is preparing for that anticipated prolonged cold weather. Right now, the city's director of public works says they're making sure their water inventory is stocked and they're prepping the plants before the frigid temperatures come in. The director says they will also have crews on call to make any repairs if water main breaks are to happen.
When these temperatures start to rise again is when we'll start seeing, could possibly see multiple breaks within the system. And so we just want to make sure that we are available on that end, and also at the same time that we're able to produce water at the plant so we can keep water consistently in the distribution system.
The one to watch. This is Jackson's 16 WAPT News. Live at 5.
Next on 16 WAPT Winter Storm Watch. We take you county by county with a look at the treacherous conditions across the metro. Plus, how some Mississippians are making light of this cold situation. 16 WAPT News at 5 starts now. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I hope you're home, warm, safe tonight. I'm Megan West. Troy Johnson will be with us in just a moment. He is out live because we have team coverage of this winter storm across the metro tonight. This is one live look outside. We have seen a few people out trying to get gas in this horrible weather. The roads really are treacherous out there, and we could hit temperatures that we haven't seen in decades tonight. Meteorologist Kristana Kay joining us now with weather first.
And if you know anybody that's outside right now, just make sure you give them a reminder to give extra space out there, because those roads are slick, and with the temperatures continuing to fall tonight, it's not going to get any better.
I keep shaking my head. So many of us from Mississippi have never experienced anything like this here. In Hinds County, deputies have been patrolling the icy streets and bridges the storm left behind today. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams joins us live from Spring Ridge Road in Clinton. Ross, you've been out for hours. What have you seen so far?
Well, right now we're seeing snow flurries in Hinds County, but that's not the real problem. Take a look at this sheet of ice and sleet that's covered the roadway, that's covering roadways all across the metro. And taking a look down the interstate, MDOT crews have been out on the roadways all day trying to clear a portion of the roadway to try to make it passable for some of those 18-wheelers that are desperate to get through. As for Hinds County, deputies have been responding to calls for stranded motorists. Semi-trucks creeping down I-20 Monday morning near Clinton. The Hinds County Sheriff's Office says roads across the county have been quiet after the winter storm dumped a heavy sheet of sleet and ice across the metro.
No accidents since early this morning, but I can tell you that we have responded to calls regarding stranded motorists.
Hinds County Sheriff spokesman Tyree Jones says deputies responded to at least 3 stranded motorist calls. In Jackson, a pickup truck ran off the road into a ditch Monday morning near I-220. County leaders urging drivers not to let their guard down. Back now live on Spring Ridge Road here, the overpass on I-20, and just take a look at this thick layer of sleet and ice that's covering the roadway. Hinds County Sheriff's officers telling us that this is going to be here for the next couple of days, probably for much of the week. So they're urging drivers to be careful and think twice before they try to head out on the roads, even after the bulk of the storm has ended today. Live in Clinton, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
It's important to think about today, Ross. Thanks. Power outages, they are a big concern tonight in this freezing weather. Entergy Mississippi already reporting more than 10,000 customers without power. You can see most of those are in Pike County right now. I want to move to Rankin County now. We have been watching the roads there since early this morning. 16 WAPT's Scott Simmons live now in Pearl for us. How is it there, Scott?
Pretty snowy, a little light flurry, in fact. We're overlooking Highway 80 and Airport Road, and normally we see a big traffic rush. This is normally rush hour, but not tonight. This is a bit sporadic, and tonight the winter weather apparently forcing a lot of people to rethink about getting out on these roads.
facing the frigid temperatures seemed less daunting for a group of off-road drivers who went on the icy roads.
I got a little baby girl at the house, and we were about a half a gallon left, and so I figured it was a good opportunity.
It's about as good an excuse as you're going to get, right?
I mean, you know, yeah, we're having a good time, but it's a necessity, right?
Roads are bad, but, man, being on this is fun. You can maneuver around a lot safer than cars can. You ain't sliding all off the road.
And the nice message is, if you don't have to get out and you don't have four-wheel drive, stay home.
I-20 East in Brandon brought to a standstill by 18-wheeler wrecks. The big rigs caught some patches of ice and couldn't recover.
It is several 18-wheelers that is tangled up down there, and it's going to be some time before we can get it clear.
We've got a sheet of ice up under all of this stuff that's fallen today. So we're looking at probably up to about a half inch to an inch of ice, solid ice, that's up under this freezing rain that fell earlier today, some of this snow that's falling now.
And even if you do get out and are able to navigate the roadways, there's really no place to go outside of a gas station or convenience store. The fast food spots and retail stores all closed, commerce ground to a halt. Ridgeland Police Chief John Neal says police are out on the roadways and they've seen limited accidents. The best thing for you to do is stay at home.
It's the kind of day they'll tell stories about. Sledding down to the reservoir. But watch out, you don't want to test the temperatures of that icy water today. Along the spillway, traffic cleared a path through the snow. Far fewer cars than usual to test it out. The slush left behind will likely turn to ice overnight. The outlets of Mississippi, quiet. No stores open. Trustmark Park, empty. The snow around it, mostly untouched. At the Renaissance in Ridgeland, the fountain, an ice sculpture. The dangling icicles, a fitting welcome to the frozen shops inside. From Eagle Eye 16, we can see the frozen water of the reservoir, chunks of ice, sheets closer to the edge. Something people who live around here say they haven't seen in decades. A freeze they won't soon forget.
It's so unfortunate that the freezing rain and ice is so destructive, all these power outages, but it is gorgeous to look at. Boy, I'll have a time lapse for you as the evening twilight came. Boy, just spectacular seeing all that ice over in Vicksburg. Just unfortunate it's so destructive. All right, already below freezing, and the cold wave is not over. Tonight and tomorrow morning will be it. But a lot of melting today, a lot of water, and it's not just going to go a little bit below freezing. We're going a lot below freezing.
Yeah, I want to give you a look. This is one of 13 water main breaks in the city of Jackson. Now, this is part of the problem, and officials, they still don't have a timeline on when water will be restored. Public Works Director Dr. Charles Williams says progress is being made, but they're determining that by PSI, or pressure through the system. He says we started at 37 PSI at the worst, and now we're at 51 PSI. But the goal is to reach 80 to 90. We still got a long way to go. According to Dr. Williams, people living further away from the treatment plants will likely have a slower recovery time.
As you farther away for the plant, for our residents in South Jackson and some areas in West Jackson, that restoration will be a little bit slower. But I want everybody to know that our team at both plants are actively working to get this restored as quickly as possible.
And as the ice melts and temperatures rise, he says we could see even more water main breaks, which officials say could slow the restoration even more. And again, like I said, the city does not have a definitive timeline on when the water will be restored. Coming up at 10, you'll hear from a family of 5 on how they're dealing with the loss of water and how they're making it through this difficult time. For now, in Jackson, Cecil Hannibal, 16 WAPT News.
Thank you, Cecil. And as the city works to restore water in Jackson, many people are in need. Several giveaway stations are set up, one of them outside Metro Center Mall.
The Byron Fire Station is one of several distribution sites to give out drinking water for those most impacted by the winter storm.
I've been here 72 years in South Jackson, in this area, and I have never seen anything like this.
Cars lined up as early as 7:15 a.m. to receive drinking water at the Byron Fire Station. For some, they haven't had water or electricity in days.
We don't have any water. Our electricity went out at 6:15 night before last, and it didn't come back on until last night about 6:30. And so, yeah, we have been greatly affected by it.
The Metro Center Mall parking lot also distributed both potable and non-potable water, with residents bringing cases and jugs of water to take home.
I've been without water for 3 days, so this water will help at least take me through for a few more days here.
Yeah, it's been kind of rough. You know, I've been trying to get out. I've been going over to my mother-in-law, getting water, kind of keeping the toilets and stuff flush. And it's been real hectic. The ice been out there. It's been real tough on us.
With the capital city being under a water boil alert and no clear timeline yet for restoration, residents say these water distribution sites are extremely helpful, even for a few days.
I think this is the kind of stuff that makes a city great and a community great and two cities great. We're sisters, you know.
Tens of thousands of Mississippians remain in the dark after the ice storm.
Yeah, Energy says they're working around the clock, but still, many people won't get their lights back on until next week. Statewide, there are more than 89,000 power outages. More than 50,000 of those are Energy Mississippi customers. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams joins us live now with what the leaders are saying about the work to get the power back on.
Well, the company's CEO tells us they have more than 2,000 people, including backup from 7 states and Canada, working 16-hour days to get the power back on.
Of our customers are in the dark.
Energy Mississippi CEO Haley Forsackerly said in a virtual news conference Friday, the ice storm that hit Mississippi has been unprecedented.
One like we haven't seen in more than 25 years. As of our noon report, we have restored more than 37,000 customers since Wednesday evening.
Right now, more than 53,000 Entergy customers don't have power as the temperature hovers at or below freezing. Half of those in the dark are in Hinds County.
And to get our way out of the apartment complex. Some of the apartments don't have power.
You know, a lot of people in the Fondren area don't.
I don't want nothing with total electric. I got to have me some gas somewhere.
Right.
So if the light goes out, you're still able to see, you're able to get warm.
More than 2,000 people are working 16 hours a day to restore the power as safely and quickly as possible. Now, Energy's infrastructure took a big hit from the ice storm. More than 100 poles were damaged or broken. They had 28 damaged transformers and more than 550 spans of wire either broken or destroyed. Even so, the crews have been making progress. More than 10,000 people have had their power restored in the past few hours. Live in Jackson, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
Some people are seeing damage to their homes caused by the winter weather. We spoke to a woman in Madison who started seeing leaking inside of her home. She said it must have been coming from outside because the water was freezing cold. The homeowner traced the source of the leak to the attic. She posted video of the damage on Facebook and comments started rolling in.
I find out from a few different people this is called damming, where the gutters get stopped up and then the ice that's on the roof has nowhere to go.
The homeowner is using fans to dry out the walls to prevent mold and hopes insurance will cover that damage.
Several Walmart locations across the metro opened their doors after being closed for several days because of the winter storm. People were spotted waiting in some long lines in both Jackson and in Clinton, trying to get in the store to get some necessities. One woman says the main things she needed at the store weren't available.
There's no water.
Outside of water?
Where there's no water, there's a lot of food left, scarce of meat. But, you know, it seems like it's first come, first served. But we're actually back at square one with the whole COVID situation. And we have a lot of toilet paper. But, you know, as you see the line, you know, people, they're probably going to be racking up on toilet paper. But we are definitely out of water.
Tonight at 5, we continue to follow Jackson's water crisis. Thousands still without water. I'm Megan West.
And I'm Troy Johnson. And there is no word of when it will come back. We have team coverage on the water crisis. We start with 16 WAPT Scott Simmons. He is live at 5 in Jackson with the latest on the recovery. Scott?
Now, this is one of 2 sites in Jackson distributing non-potable water at Forest Hill High School here. No shortage of frustration, though, from residents still left wondering tonight when the water will return to their faucets at home.
We understand our residents' frustration. I understand that most people don't care how a watch works. They just want to be able to tell time.
At a news conference Monday, the Jackson mayor said the city is making repairs to broken lines and slowly resuming water pressure from the O.B. Curtis water treatment plant that literally was damaged by the extended cold of last week. Almost 25 reported water main breaks have occurred, and businesses like car washes are still operating.
The challenge that continues to take place is that as we are trying to fill up tanks, consumption is still happening.
The city's public works director says they may have to bring in outside crews to help with the city's battle to restore water pressure, as they hope the rising temperatures don't cause too many new water flow problems.
Well, council members and the mayor of Jackson seemingly at odds over the ongoing Jackson water crisis. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams attended the special city council meeting where some leaders are calling for more outside help.
So we need to reach out and make that case to FEMA and to MEMA that they need to give us assistance, whether it's through the National Guard or whatever.
Councilman Ashby Foote says Jackson can't handle the huge water problems on its own. They need to call in the cavalry to help.
To make sure that our citizens don't run out of food and they don't run out of water, too. You know, we need a bigger boat, as they said in Jaws.
We are the cavalry, right? We are the ones that have to rescue ourselves until they come, right?
The mayor's response wasn't good enough for Councilman Kenneth Stokes, speaking virtually at an emergency Monday morning council meeting.
We need tankers. I need to tell them we need tankers.
Let me finish my statement. Let me finish.
All fine, but you've been talking 30 minutes. We out here need water to flush toilets.
Stokes was angry there wasn't a tanker giving out water for flushing in his ward like one in South Jackson.
We will get the tankers as we have been doing, and we said we would inform. I addressed that question.
But from the arguing carrying on, somebody had dropped the ball somewhere.
Magellan Lockett says he was forced to go to a hotel. His home hasn't had water for 6 days.
Well, those of you who are in need of water, the city of Jackson is distributing it right now at 2 locations. One location is at Forest Hill High School on Raymond Road. The other is Rains Elementary on Flag Chapel Road. People can come to pick up water to flush their toilets with. This is flushable water, and it's available until 7 p.m. tonight. Residents are asked to bring their own containers for that water. And people have waited in some long lines to get water in the city of Jackson. 16 WAPT's Kara Peters spoke with some who tell us they have no choice.
It's been really difficult. Like, you take a lot of things for granted and you don't realize what's important until stuff like this happens.
Rain Becker, along with many others, arrived at Forest Hill High School in Jackson to retrieve flushable water. With many not having water for days, she says she's especially in need of water to care for her sick child.
It's been hard to find ways to improvise to give him what he needs to make sure he gets all his medicine to help him stay alive.
Becker says she attended several water distribution sites over the past few days with mild backups. With many sites running out of water by the time she gets to the front, she says she's been forced to think of other options.
What are you supposed to do? I mean, I've even debated going up to, like, Brendan where they have the river and getting water out of the river. I mean, you do what you gotta do. You just have to figure it out and be in survival mode.
So thank you. In the meantime, though, while these repairs are underway, people need water, and so many of you want to help provide it.
That's right, and all day today, 16 WAPT collecting drinking water for Jackson in our Water Drive 16. Take a look from our Eagle Eye 16 at the Water Drive 16 location at the Brandon Kroger. Donations are also being collected at the Kroger in Madison on Highway 51 and the Kroger in Byram. Now, all donations go to the Mississippi Food Network. They will oversee the distribution. 16 WAPT's Keegan Fox at the Mississippi Food Network headquarters. And Keegan, tell us how much has been raised so far.
Well, Troy, at last check, more than 975,000 bottles of water have been donated. Now, this water will be distributed by the Mississippi Food Network, and it will also add to a stockpile for future water emergencies. Now, you do still have time to donate in person at one of the locations Troy mentioned, the Highway 51 location in Madison, Spillway Kroger, and the Brandon Kroger at Cross Gates, and also Kroger in Byram. You can also donate virtually at WAPT.com. Now, the Mississippi Food Network is going to be handing out some of this water on Friday. We'll talk more about that a little later in the show. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Keegan, thank you. Well, we have reaction this evening from some of those who took the time to donate to Water Drive 16. 16 WAPT's Marcus Hunter spoke to people who know just what it feels like to go without water.
This event, Water Drive 16, is to help the people of Jackson who have not had drinking water for weeks.
Kroger, along with Mississippi Food Network, we appreciate the community coming out and helping us to help others in the city of Jackson.
Kenardo Young is the owner of Young Brothers Plumbing. He lives in Jackson and has experienced the water crisis firsthand.
Well, we was without water for like 12 days also, so I know, what it feels like to be without water.
Thursday morning, Young donated 33 cases to help his fellow Jacksonians through this rough time.
We're already in a pandemic. People can't wash their hands without water, so that makes matters, a little worse for them, especially when they got smaller kids.
Others we saw donating said they want to do their part to help out.
There are so many people that are without water right now, especially in Jackson, and the more that I can do, the better. I just want to help people.
Oh, it's extremely important, especially the elderly and the people with children.
The water donations will go to the Mississippi Food Network to be distributed to those who have been affected by the water crisis.
Well, Megan, Jackson residents were able to pick up 1 case of free bottled water per vehicle today. This happened at Anderson United Methodist Church on Hanging Moss Road this afternoon. The bottled water for distribution was provided by donations from Entergy, Sanderson Farms, Kroger, and Regions Bank.
I know it's owned in some areas here in the city, but there are still persons without drinking water. And for people to come through and say thank you for what you're doing and thank you for providing these kinds of resources, it really warms the heart.
The mayor wrote a letter to the governor and Mississippi's congressional delegation in Washington this week. He says, we are in an emergency situation and the city needs that money right now. Mayor Chokwe Lumumba wants millions in state and federal funds to make emergency fixes to Jackson's water treatment plants. In a Wednesday letter to the governor, legislative leaders, and Mississippi's congressional delegation, the mayor asked for $47 million. Mayor Lumumba wrote, we can no longer afford to wait on funds to repair and improve our aging infrastructure. We need funding assistance from the state and federal agencies now. That's right. After a lot of debate following the February water crisis, the legislature approved just $3 million to help the capital city, much less than the $47 million the mayor wanted. February's water crisis crippled one of Jackson's water treatment plants and left much of the city with no running water for a month. After that unprecedented infrastructure failure, Mayor Chokwe Lumumba sent a letter to state and federal leaders asking for $47 million to pay for long overdue repairs. But the Republican-controlled legislature has approved only $3 million for repairs to the fuel water plant at the Waterworks Curve on I-55.
The $3 million that we received today is nowhere near what we want, but it's a start. $3 million is better than $0.
None of that money can be spent on the O.B. Curtis treatment plant. It was the source of the initial water system shutdown.
They came with a lot of just rounded numbers, like we need $1 million, we need $2 million. So we gave them $3 million to fix up the water plant, or at least get started on that.
The legislature also approved a bill to help Jackson fix its water billing problems. Sometimes customers go for months without getting a water bill, and when they do get a bill, they may be charged thousands of dollars.
Allow the city to resolve all those delinquent and disputed claims. That's going to clean up the books. If the books are cleaned up.
State Senator David Blunt says he's hopeful Governor Reeves will sign the bill. The governor vetoed similar legislation last year.
Other than where we're having water main break repairs, where right now they're on Mega Evers, those particular places will be without water until those repairs are made. But I'm telling you, when I stood here yesterday, I was very disheartened. But from today, I'm telling you, I am very enlightened by where we're at today and where we should be tomorrow. Right now, we're on a trend of getting everybody's water restored.
I am delighted that the boil water notice has been lifted.
Well, it's been, 3 weeks? Should have been done. We got a problem.
Tonight, we're seeing mixed reactions from Jackson residents after the city announcing the end of the boil water notice for 43,000 surface water connections. For weeks, many residents have been either boiling their water or going through cases of water.
I know I do like about a case every 2 days.
The Department of Health says the water is clear to use without having to boil it first, but some people still don't trust the water.
No, sir. We've always had a problem with it. Every time you look up, it's a boil water notice. So better safe than sorry.
We reached out to the city of Jackson for a comment on the boil water notice being lifted, but we have not heard back this evening.